In a special report tonight, St. Joseph is a city full of many histories. News Press Now's Leah Rainwater took a deep dive into one part of the city's past and tells us how important railroads are, specifically the Hannibal and St. Joseph Railroad. Leah.
Kirsten, believe it or not, St. Joseph was home to the first railroad that ran east to west across Missouri. The Hannibal and St. Joseph Railroad suffered a few tragedies and different types of ownership. Now today, you can still see remnants of railroad tracks downtown. They may never be used again, but the memory and purpose of the railroad lives on.
In a city full of history, one only wonders how it all ties into the St. Joe we know today.
You're crossing railroad tracks in St. Joe, just remember that you're crossing something that's been there for over 150, approaching 170 years now.
An oldie but a goodie, the Hannibal and St. Joseph Railroad served many purposes throughout the city, including being the first trans-state passenger train.
By 1846, the newspaper's calling, hey, we're this up-and-coming organization or this town, and we need to be connected to those cities in the east.
The Hannibal St. Joseph Railroad extended across the state of Missouri. It got into St. Joseph in 1849 on February 14th. It took 15 years to build it across from Hannibal to St. Joseph. That's about 206 miles.
It also brought mail to St. Joseph for the Pony Express and transported materials for the city as well as for the Civil War.
During the Civil War, the railroad was targeted. And one of the greatest disasters, at least in this part of the country, was the destruction of the Platte River Bridge in 1861, which was a horrific disaster. That was something. It was a form of what we would call domestic terrorism today.
There were 17 people killed and over 100 injured, and St. Joseph didn't have a hospital then, so they brought a lot of the injured here to the Patey House.
I'm standing on the original tracks from the Hannibal and St. Joseph Railroad, and on this corner of 8th and Olive, this is where the original St. Joseph Depot used to be.
So in that 6th to 8th Olive, that was the Hannibal and St. Joseph Railroad Depot. Yep. It was close to the roundhouses, to the shops they built there.
And serving such an integral part of St. Joseph's growth, some may wonder why it stopped running in the city.
Well, it stopped operating because the Hannibal line was by then limited only to northwest Missouri, and the Burlington Northern route then took over, and they went to Omaha and Council Bluffs and Kansas City, and they tied it all together.
As I said, the tracks themselves that are still there, passenger traffic dwindled, and by 1971, I think that was the 1971 was the last passenger train through here. So there's now been a push more. I mean, obviously there's trains running between Kansas City and St. Louis now.
But to some, that history is not forgotten.
We're fairly close here at the Nature Center, getting close to being outside city limits, so I can hear that high lonesome sound coming from north, or as they head up north, I can hear it as they get out of city limits as they're approaching crossing. So that sound is just, it evokes a lot of positive memories for me. Plus, it's the sound of history in St. Joseph.
Today, there are no concrete plans at the moment to bring passenger railroads back to St. Joseph. But Elder says with the new interest in quick and easy transportation by train, it could be possible to put St. Joe back on the map. Reporting for News Press Now, I'm Leah Rainwater.
In October of 2022, MoDOT submitted a federal funding request to study possible future Amtrak lines from Kansas City to St. Joseph. There's been no update on the implementation of the Amtrak expansion yet, other than the fact that the study began in mid-2024. But until then, the empty tracks will remain downtown to serve as a reminder of history, traction, and sacrifices the railroad brought to St. Joseph. Reporting for News Press Now, I'm Leah Rainwater.